right. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. Together, when one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time? Wanna stop dying? Isn't it time? Mother, stop crying. Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time? Wanna stop dying? Isn't it time? Mother, stop crying. Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, make peace together. How you guys all doing? Welcome for joining me on my original show called Between Two Worlds, but I'm actually chasing shadows. So yes, and as some of you may not know, I'm actually on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So if you want to find my page called Chasing Shadows, go there as well. I didn't drop the page in. I'm see Keith Ricard's already in that room. So, Keith, if you're able to, you can actually send them the page if they want to go there in the chat room as well. We've got a lot to talk about this evening, folks. I'm sure a lot of people are getting very impatient. There's a lot of things going on. Basically, a lot of my intel is, when I get my information, these are sureties. These are actually proof that things are really happening. And I guess would say, well, let's put it this way. Especially here in Canada or BC, in British Columbia region, people are asking questions like, when is this whole thing over? Well, my wife, all of us are trying to be curious, like, what's going on? Well, apparently, what the government's going to do, they, thank you, Marty, for calling me the Mad Meiji Trapper. You've been trapped. I guess I'd say, let's start with British Columbia. Okay. Out here, they have talked about closing the highways again. They are only allowing the highways to be open for just large vehicles, everything that's bigger than a one-ton truck. Okay. Anything smaller, as far as cars and regular common trucks are concerned, and that's not. If it's not delivering anything, they're not going to let you through, no matter what highway. You're not going to go through anything to go visit family through the winter season or even for Christmas, so to speak. And the reason why they're closing it off, well, number one, there's so many mudslides and damage everywhere. But now I'll tell you why that they don't want you through there. Okay. Some of you do follow gene code and others may not, but gene code has stated, or this is coming from the higher ups, like he's part of the military as well, and gene code has stated, because right now here in BC, since they had the flood, okay, there has been overabundance of radiation coming through from the mountain, from down below. And I'll tell you why, because they blew up a bunch of tunnels, DUMBs down there, DUMBS, and some of you may know what that is. They blew them up. A lot of them got flooded out. Now, the reason why they had to do this, because a lot of corruption, as well as they got rid of all the bad people that have been stealing the children. Okay. And there's no way they can escape anywhere. They can't even take the kids, period. So basically, they've been rescuing while we've been flooded. And they are grabbing kids from all over, bringing them home. And it's pretty crazy. Now, and that's the reason why. And like I also said before, according to them, there's a lot of radiation that is been leaking, overabundance of it leaking out from the area of whether it's the Coquihalla, it's where the major parts are. So they're asking people not to travel in that direction, and that's including people like us, right? So if you want to be with your family, I don't recommend it for a while until it calms down. They're trying to clean it up. That's the reason why, pardon me, that's the reason why they got the military out there. The military showed up a couple of weeks ago, way before that, since the flood. The military was sent down there. And how I know that, because I've actually seen videos of the military arriving to those locations, but they're not just doing your typical rescue. They're rescuing, yes, but they're also underneath the ground. These are special teams. And so this is the reason why they're wanting us to stay away from the area, okay? Because we don't want to be infected with a whole bunch of radiation. And that's why they're trying to protect us. Also, at the same time, and I've seen the map, some of you may remember Stupid me, I shouldn't have had my sweets. I can't ever do that when I'm doing a show, because when I have sweets and I start coughing or get that sugar thing back up crazy, and I normally don't do that. I just like, no, just do my show. But I did. Stupid me. Um, Guy my age gotta have some sweets once in a while. Yes, yes. The same thing happened on Vancouver Island. There's actually a Dumbs under the island as well. Most people don't know that, but anytime they ever talk about wanting to lock down, like for example, the BC Health Authority, Bonnie Henry, has talked about locking down BC again, all of BC. That if anybody tries to leave their home, that they will be fined and or jailed, unless you're doing essential service or needing something to do essentials. They will allow you to go there. But if you're not doing what you're expected to do, then they were going to give you a $750 plus fine, whichever. And if you don't comply, the word comply, they said their threat was they take you to jail. Well, guess what? It ain't going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. So I would say for folks to give you guys a little bit of advice, if you're actually in Canada, look up the website actionforcanada.com, action with the number 4canada.com. Download those PDF files, and if by some chance you're dealing with work issues that you can't keep your job, or if you're dealing with any specific companies preventing you from walking in, if you have to be double vaxxed, drop it in their face and say, look, here's how it works. If you prevent me from coming into the store because you expect me to be double vaxxed, then I will have you charged under the Crimes Against Humanity as well as the Nuremberg Code 2.0. You will be arrested, and the company that you work for and the employees you work with, if they all complied, they all will be arrested and be charged under Crimes Against Humanity, and they will either do life in prison and or you never know, because they're not going to tolerate it. You cannot starve a person or families from actually getting food, whether you are vaxxed or not vaxxed or not or at all. We are not the ones that get anybody who's vax sick. That never was. That was a setup, because basically this is actually all to do with what you call an NWO. That's what their goal is, to see how many people they can basically control. Canada is the only country left. We are the last of the controlled country. We're worse than Australia, and we need to learn to stand up for ourselves. So some of you out there may be awakened, some of you may not be, but you guys will have to have a little bit of a look, or actually have see. But if you're anybody out there keeps on telling me to prove it, I've already got the proof. I got many proofs. Now, when I said before earlier that I seen the map where the radiation is, and also the dumps and underground tunnels, I've seen the map. And guess where one of the tunnels leads to? All the way from the Coquihalla. It leads to Robert Picton's piggy farm, his piggy ranch. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Now, I'm going to bring up this document. Where are we here? That's not it. Hang on. Where is you? When I was online, I'll have to go in here instead. I did some research about Mr. Picton. And it's right in your face. It's absolutely right in your face about what he was been doing, or had been doing, before he was arrested. And he was doing this for so many years, and the RCMP police did not do a thing about it because they were told to stand down. Why? why. Okay. So I thought I had the page. I could have accidentally erased it. But let's see. Let's go to the Wikipedia. I'm going to go to Wikipedia. I'll show you guys something here. If you haven't done it yet, go to Wikipedia. Okay. Now, some of you may not know who Robert Pickton is. I'll give you guys a bit of an update. He's called the Canadian serial killer. Serial killer, yeah. He's a Canadian serial killer. Well, he's just more than that. They're blaming him as being the major serial killer. He actually is just a, how do you say it? He took advantage of it and thinking that he was going to get away with it, and he did for a while. But certain people had to get him out of the way, so to speak, because and to silence him, so they had decided to put him in prison. Anyways, I'll tell you why. He was sentenced to life in prison for suspicion, basically what he had done. And former pig farmer, he's suspected of being the most prolific serial killers in the Canadian history. Let's see here. After dropping out of school, Pickton left a butcher's apprenticeship to begin working full-time at his family's pig farm. He is believed to have begun the murders in the 1980s. After inheriting the farm, he was arrested in 2002. He was convicted in 2007 of the second-degree murders of 6 women, and was also the subject of a lengthy investigation that yielded evidence of numerous other murders. Pickton was charged with the deaths of additional 20 women, many of them from Vancouver's downtown east side. Most of them are Indigenous, and these charges were stayed by the Crown in 2010. Pickton was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. The longest possible sentence for murder under Canadian law at the time he was sentenced. During the trial's day, the jury evidence, the Crown stated that Pickton had confessed to 49 murders to an undercover agent from the Office of Inspector General who was posing as a cellmate. The Crown reported that Pickton told the officer that he wanted to kill another woman to make it even 50, and that he was caught because he was sloppy. Well, number one, he wasn't sloppy. Okay. Somebody dropped, I guess you usually use that word, dropping the dime on him, because they knew very well that he was going to drop some dimes on other people that are above him. Okay. So Pickton got paid off. Why do you think he wrote this book, his own book, in jail, and was making money in jail while he was after he published his book? Supposedly, that book itself actually was stopped being edited or stopped being sold. Not what I understood, because basically those books are still selling on the bookshelves, and it never was stopped. Robert Pickton was born. Let's see. He lived out in Port Coquitlam, out here in BC. Now, Port Coquitlam region also has a flooded area, and there's one area where the farming area community is. His older sister Linda was sent to live with relatives in Vancouver, as their parents thought that the pig farm would be an inappropriate setting to raise a lady. Robert and his younger brother David began working at the farm at an early age. Louise was very demanding, prioritizing the pigs over the brothers' personal hygiene and forcing them to look long hours raising the farm's livestock. She often sent them to school unwashed, dirty clothes. Well, I'm not going to go there, which is not always entirely true. This is what they're trying to put a pity me story. Linda, who is his sister, and his brother David were also part of the murders. Linda actually is very close friends of Justin Trudeau. Okay. And she ended up working in the government, working with him. And that's, like I said, there's more than you think. Even though there's a worker by the name of Bill Hiscox, he called the farm a creepy-looking place and described Pickton as a pretty quiet guy. Now, one thing I've actually looked at this closer, and what Pickton had done, he decided to, through the years, he decided to make himself more money. So he decided he'd partner with some people, and he partnered with the Hells Angels. He partnered friendship with higher ups, very important people that are politicians. And so he decided to build himself a couple large buildings where people, they call it a party house. That's why they call it Piggy Palace. And actually, this land was not even his, it was somebody else's, but nobody said a word about it. So a lot of times the police always say the Vancouver sex workers were always brought up there to be the party with the people in that building of his. But some of them actually never returned back home. Um, One thing I did see that didn't make any sense to me, and what I had done here, let's see here. Why you guys need to know this, because his farm relates to all of this as well. One thing I want to say, there is actually an arena built underground of his building, of his farm. Now, even though, why would the government be in such a hurry to bulldoze his farm, even though after he was arrested and taken to jail? Didn't make any sense, because his brother could have kept the farm, right? Could have passed on to his brother. David could have kept it because it was actually a family farm. But for some reason, the government suddenly decided to bulldoze the farm and shut everything down. Pretty well, nobody supposed to know anything about this. But before this got shut down, there was a special group of people that came in, the RCMP and the Vancouver City Police, did visit his slaughterhouse, Picton Slaughterhouse, and they found in the freezers, a lot of pork burgers, so they say, hamburger, large patties. And so they decided to take these burgers or the meat and take it to a lab and to have the sample checked out what's in it. Because a lot of times that's not always stating what it is. When they analyzed it in the lab, there were traces of human DNA in it, as in meat. That means, and it was, a lot of it was female. You can tell by, somehow they could tell by the DNA in the blood. And they knew very well there were some DNA traces of whomever or how many girls, we don't know. But what Picton was doing is he actually was mixing the human bodies with the pigs, make them into burgers, selling them to restaurants in the local area, right into Vancouver. He was a supplier. Think about it, folks. This is what they found. Okay. They found victims' jawbones, teeth found, besides Picton's slaughterhouse, 22 caliber rifle. And they said they found a specific sex tool that was containing the DNA with the victims as well as his. Again, and he also used to video record a lot of his actions. So they have some recordings of what he did. He also made a makeshift silencer so that no one would actually know the sound of a gun. Let's see here. He also, well, I do know this because I remember I actually was helping the RCMP at the time to, I was doing remote viewing for the police to do this Picton case at the time when they were investigating him. And I was basically telling them what I saw, and they came back and told me exactly in return that I was correct. So they used to coke up all the girls, and they would have a whole round. There's a large round table, like an oak table in his house, and he'd coke up all the girls, and then he would take one of the girls back into his room, and whatever happens after that, the next thing you know, this big rolled up rug, and he's got on its shoulder walking out the door, where the rest of the girls are still at the table, still doing coke. So Picton was a major bad person, a major killer, but he got away with it, and I'll tell you why. When he had, like I said, it wasn't just. I mean, even though they're saying that the Hell's Angels were involved, but there's more than that. There were government officials that were on location as well that participated. So that's the reason why that he invited them in, and I'll tell you why, because there's so many stories in here that didn't make any sense to me, especially when our Prime Minister Harper made a statement that he was going to stop this investigation, even though there's well over 100 plus women that they still wanted to be solved if they're at his farm. Harper said the case is closed and that is it. Why would he say the case is closed? Because he said the public, the citizens of Canada don't want to spend another $1 million in the investigation. It does not take $1 million to investigate. It doesn't. All it takes is a couple of guys out there to do the DNA check. You don't get paid $1 million. Here, I'll pay $1 million to do this job for me. This is what they do. They use the high dollar standard to make it sound that it's bigger than you think. It is big. It was absolutely big, right? Absolutely big. And but why would they stop an investigation with this guy as a mass murderer? Because it got too close. Because what they found out later, some of the RCMP were working with Picton. The RCMP were actually, some of the RCMP, a couple of them, were bringing the girls to him. Those RCMP officers are no longer officers. They actually were taken from their removed from their position as being officers. And then these officers now did not get fired. They took early retirement and changed their name. Okay, and I know one of those officers. When I actually decided to add up the whole story, where he was just boastful about where he was and what he did, and I thought, huh, you're the guy that they're all talking about. But his real true name, he gave me a fake name, and I thought, okay, because that makes sense. And how come you never got busted? And he's an accomplice, or one of the accomplices. So again, like I said before, they're protecting them. They're protecting their own people right now. Okay. And I decided to go further in this because I feel it's important, because this all relates to all the missing women and children, because there were even children brought to Picton's place. You guys don't know that. They were saying, oh, lucky, maybe 130 women, 125, 130 women are taken there. No. I worked for a government called Métis Family Services. Okay. And my boss, who I worked for at the time, I was a counselor, and this is back in 2005. My boss told me that about 3 or 4 of those girls that were in care, were at Picton's farm. And they were describing to him what took place. These girls are 12 and 13 years of age. What were they doing at the farm? Think about it. Why were they doing it at the farm? And I was told more from what the girls told him. How did the girls survive? They escaped very quickly when they found out they were going to be cornered. These were Indigenous girls. Okay? 12 and 13. They said they witnessed girls being taken away through this doorway, going downstairs, and never seen them come back up. But they said when they looked downstairs, it was very dark and very deep. It looked like a tunnel, they said. A tunnel under his house. Gee, what does that sound to you guys? It sounds like an underground tunnel. It sounds like that Picton is not just working alone. People actually stated, they actually had said they seen Bill and Hillary Clinton there. Not actors or people that look like. These were real people. They said that someone overheard and said that they flew in to come to this party. Gee, it sounds like somebody else's island party. And they showed up. Lionsgate Productions was there. What the hell's Lionsgate Productions got to do with it? But they're playing their video while these girls are being touched. And then they disappeared. Now, this is what I remember all this. I remember these stories. But I didn't think it would actually add up. And I thought to myself, wait a minute here. I know this. I know all. And I'm adding things up through this whole week. I'm going like, okay, Picton, them, the police. I'm not saying all RCMP are bad, because I had the police at Vancouver City Cops come to me for help. Okay, I'm one of the 6 mediums that they're asking for the investigation to help find these missing girls. That's what my job is as well. And I was able to help find a few of them out of 15,000. 15,000, not 150. Yeah, Blair says, a friend of mine did end up there. She was a street worker, and she said that the cops would do drugs with them and then beat them. And yes, they were there. That's what the girls told me too. They told Bill. Bill's now passed away. He can't be a witness no more. Yeah. But here's the crazy part. Bill told me. He says, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to feel. He says, I can't report this to the police. He says, because the girls are saying the cops were there doing the same thing, fondling the little girls. RCMP were there, fondling little girls, having a great time. And wearing their shorts and tall boots and their hat, and that's pretty well it, and whips and chains. That's pretty well what they're doing. And that's what Bill told me. I remember that. And I said to him, I said, well, what do you want to do? He says, hang on to that thought. He says, maybe they may need you, because he knows my work, knew of my work. Maybe someone's going to come and need you and to tell the story. So I'm saving this story. I say the story says 2005, folks. 2005, 2006. Marlo says, I worked downtown East Side needle exchange when a lot of girls were going missing. It was pretty sad. Yes, it is. And I will say this to you, okay? And you guys need to know this is absolute factual truth. A lot of your sisters, aunties, cousins, you name it, that if you're related to them or not, or you know somebody whose daughter went missing, these girls, if they never came home, that means they were taken away or murdered. And I'll tell you why. Because Hillary and Bill Clinton were there. Why were they there? Because they're bringing the girls and they're taking them away to another country. They load up Evergreen. They use Hillary and Bill Clinton own Evergreen. Okay? And Evergreen is used to ship out shipping containers, and you ship out tied up children. And they're not tied up with rope. They're tied up with packing tape. I've seen photos. It's horrible. And yeah, she says, Serena kissed my cheek and she went missing right after. I'm sorry to hear that, to see that. But this is exactly what happens. They'll never get home. Will never come home, because they'll come home in spirit, but they will never come home because they're taken out of the country or they're taken out of this world. A lot of it was satanic. This is not just your typical pig farmer who loved to kill. It was a satanic organization. And even in this writings, when I'm reading this story regarding the missing women inquiry, when Robert Picton lost his first appeal, the Supreme Court of Canada Missing Women Commission of Inquiry declared chaired by Wally Opal, was called to examine the role of Vancouver police and the RCMP in the disappearances and murders of the women in downtown East Side. Families and missing and murdered women have been calling for public hearings since before Picton was arrested and eventually convicted of 6 murders. 6! That should be 60 or at least 160 or even more. This man, Picton, should not be alive. This man should be, he should have been done, taken out completely. Our country is so lax and don't hurt him. He's okay. Don't hurt him. We don't want to be like the rest of the world. We don't want to execute them. We'll make them suffer by eating all the food and get the best things in there in prison. I know it's like I've seen what the inmates look, how they live in prison. They're not just with a cot and the blanket and that's it. Your prison, like a lot of penitentiaries, it's like living in a house, except you got a fence around the building. That's it. Okay, Norman Traversy and Kirsten W. have great intel on Trudeau and his involvement in the pig farm, Picton pig farm. Yes, yeah. There's more. There's more to this because when I'm doing my research, I'm reading this inside and out because the way they're writing it, their story, and I'm looking at some of the names of the people. I'm going, no, there's more to this. Now, here's what gets me, folks. If they said that the Hells Angels were there and involved, have you heard of any Hells Angel being picked up for suspicion or of their presence? Not one. Not one. It's always Picton. Okay. Let's see here. This was the largest investigation serial killer back in 2005. Yeah. 12 more charges were laid against Picton for the killings. Kara Ellis, Andrea Borhaven, Deborah Lynn Jones, Marnie Frey, Tiffany Drew, Carrie Koski, Sarah DeVries, Cynthia Felix, Angela Jardine, Wendy Crawford, Diana Melnick, and then they call this other girl Jane Doe, bringing their total numbers of the first-degree murder charges to 27. But Prime Minister Harper said, no, let it go. Because these girls that they want to be charging for, because then they have to backtrack all the people that were connected with DNA to the people who took them down there. Okay? Think about it. Now, according to Keith in the chat room, says the Clintons mentioned it in their email. Where they were. Yes, they've been there. If you can take a photo shot in that one park, Keith, go right ahead. Love to have you send me that picture. What they said in the document. Just that particular one. We need that. Okay? This all relates to everything, folks. This is this whole conjecture of underground tunnels. This is basically, they call the DUMBs. But it's called the deep underground military bases. But I call the S as satanic. Okay. So even though he's supposed to be serving life in prison, they can let him go and after 25 years. According to them, even though they say, well, he'll never get, they didn't say he's going to do 25 years times 6. He says he's only going to do 25 years. Well, they did say 6 counts of murder, but they said he was going to do 25 years. Even if he went on parole for 25 years, after 25 years, doesn't do anything. That man should be hung like our Canadian country used to do. We used to hang them. They hung Riel. They didn't care. and he was innocent. Um, my feeling is, this is coming from me, my opinion. I feel that these files need to be opened up again. We have there are new officers now that are not connected. There should be a specific special forces now that should be. Oh, sorry, can't. I want to see the file opened up, but I forgot. Gee, our prime minister would not allow that because he'll say it's over. Because don't forget, folks, he was there. Our prime minister, Mr. T. Trudeau, was there on the farm, and he was doing the same thing. He's participating. Why do you think he carried blackface in his photographs? You can see the blackface in photographs. Why was he sticking his tongue out really long? Like as if he looked like Gene Simmons? That's demonic, folks. That's how they do it. There's a lot of people will stick out their tongue and dress black and stick out their tongue real. That's demonic. That's the gesture of the demon. Think about it. Now I've seen photographs of Trudeau actually having secret meetings, romantic meetings with another man in government right now. Okay, so like I said, this has to be reinvestigated, but I think it may have to be reinvestigated even after when Mr. T is gone, when he's taken down and someone replaces him, or it needs to be opened without his authority, period. No prime minister should ever, not one federal government official should ever have to interfere with a kind of investigation. Okay? I'm telling you, no, even Harper should never have interfered, period. That should have been an open investigation by under, like basically when it comes to murder and then like this, something like this, that no prime minister should ever be involved. He should step back. Same thing if your prime minister did something wrong, and the RCMP are supposed to be investigating him, and yet the RCMP are told by the prime minister, step down, you can't touch me, I'm the prime minister. You can't go after me. Well, guess what? Okay. Now, according to Keith, says Russell Williams was involved. You guys knew who Russell Williams is? Think about it. The guys from Lionsgate Productions. I'm sure you guys seen Lionsgate, that name brand they use in the movies, right? Major Russell Williams was involved. This is bigger than you think. This is way bigger than you think. Why? BC was considered, our country, our province was considered one of the most corrupted, next to Ontario and Quebec, corrupted province in Canada. Corruption as far as child pedophilia, you name it, satanic, you name it. We are caught in all in the middle of this. And yet, here's what gets me. People boast about it. They boast the idea that they think this is so funny. Oh yeah, we got away with it. No one can do anything about it. Right? Russell's in prison in jail for killing women in Ottawa. But he was also involved. Now, how did he get from point A to point B, which is if Major Russell Williams was in another province, like they've got Picton right now is serving prison time in Quebec, even though he was convicted and charged, convicted here in BC. They sent him to Quebec. Well, no, he should never be sent there, period. He should have been gone. I know through intel, Jeffrey Epstein was involved too, and he recorded everything, so there is much more evidence to be exposed. I bet you Epstein was underground in our province too. You watch. I guarantee you that Epstein was down there. It's like I said, folks, we don't know what really goes on, but they will intentionally do this to all of us. They intentionally do this because they want us to see it. So we say, oh, no big deal. Let them have it. Let them do what they want. Somebody else take care of it. Or that poor child, or that young girl, oh, she's getting beaten up, or they're raping her. No, it's okay. Let somebody else take care of that. There are people that actually have seen a girl get raped on a SkyTrain here in Vancouver. She was getting raped, or she got raped on a SkyTrain in front of 20 people in a SkyTrain. People recorded it, but nobody interfered with his raping the girl. Why? Oh, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be the accomplice. I don't want to stop this man. No. Hey, look at that. I'm telling you, there are no heroes anymore. There's no people stepping up to the plate and trying to stop these people. All you guys want to do is like, no, not my problem. Sorry. So if you guys do have the access to Hillary's emails, have a look. Guaranteed you'll find it. So I wanted this to be exposed because basically, like I said before, earlier tonight, as I mentioned, all of the underground tunnels now, including Picton's place, has been flooded. His whole farm now has been flooded. The tunnels cannot be in use anymore. They've been flooded out. So if there's anybody under there, right, gone. They blew them up. Special forces came in, and if you guys ever felt an earth tremor, that's gone. They took care of it. They don't want anybody to get away with crap like this anymore. That's why things have taken a little bit longer, folks. Whenever you see or hear of someone saying we're going to have a lockdown, or we have more cases, and well, we need to do this. We need to stop this from happening. So we have more cases, so everybody has to stay at home for about a week. That means there's children being rescued. They just want you out of the way so you don't get caught in the middle of it. That's why. That's what this whole thing's about. Now, according to the records, it says when Williams was killing these women, the higher ups, people above him, were actually watching. The MPs and judges were watching what he's doing to the girls. MPs and judges. See how corrupt our government is? Okay? Our provincial and federal government, whoever was there when he did this, they were watching. Whoever was in that room at the time, they were watching. What the hell is going on? And I will say the word hell because that's exactly what it is. That poor girl felt like hell. Or girls went through hell. And being killed. Again, also too, earlier, I would say 2020. You guys remember now too. I may have mentioned this to you before. If you're new in the chat room, you'll hear it now. The reason why they fenced up the Ottawa Parliamentary Building grounds, the reason why they fenced up the Winnipeg Parliamentary grounds, the reason why they fenced up all of the parliamentary grounds all at once, all of them, because special elite forces were in the building underground looking for children, looking for cages, looking for DNA, anything that they need to catch people or for what they had done in the past. Okay. Keith says that a flash drive was sent to the Buckingham Palace. So, like I said before, folks, again, even when we had our First Nations, we had our in Kamloops, when there's about approximately 10 children and there was a residential school, maybe you heard about the 215 kids that they found unmarked graves. But there was 10 children where the priest from the residential schools gave the Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip back in the 1960s, gave them He said, "This is my gift to you." Gift. Those are the words that said out loud. This is my gift to you. Gift. Children are gifts. They were sacrificed because the Queen, Prince Philip, they were satanic worshippers. They killed those children because those children never came back. And then the Queen and Prince Philip took off back to England. And when that subject was brought up, where are the kids? You know, the families were saying, "Where's my children?" Oh, they ran away. Yeah, and it was never mentioned. And if anybody ever did mention it, even further, don't forget, First Nations people had no authority or were able to put any pressure on the government because they were ignored. Our First Nations people were ignored. Oh, you have no say in the matter. You're just slaves, or you just shunned aside. See what happens, folks? You thought African American people, Black Lives Matter was a big deal before then? It happened to it happens to three races: First Nations, Indigenous people, Aboriginal people, African American children, women, children, you name it, and Hispanics. It's all, or even other cultural differences of race. And they take advantage of it, and then they say, "Oh, they have no say in the matter." Only if you're. I'm not going to say that whites have the power. Not all whites did. It's basically the government that ran it and used that system name of white authority. Oh, before I forget, now I did a lot of times on my show. I talked about the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Bilderbergs, and a few others. Well, I was informed that the Rothschilds no longer have a bloodline. Guess what? They're gone. No one has as a Rothschild exists anymore. Their existence of satanic, or existence of their blood type is gone, wiped out, finished, finite. They don't. That doesn't exist anymore. They can't have more kids. They're done. Yeah, Marty said, "Did you see how the government and the Vatican are trying to spin the narrative of First Nations elders were involved in the missing kids around the country, especially in Canada?" Um, yeah, like again, that they're spinning it around. I already know the story, original story. They're just spinning it around because whatever deep state's trying to do, there are some bad people. There are a lot of priests that are still living today are spinning it around. They want you to believe that it's the fault of the First Nations or the chiefs. Also, too, the the how I heard it in the news, they're saying that the chiefs were supposed to go meet up with the Pope at the Vatican. There's supposed to be 13 chiefs. 13 chiefs. 13. Okay. Number 13 was to go see the Pope. And then they said, well, the chiefs got themselves in trouble. They were not liked by the elders of the community. They said they disagree that the chiefs should ever even go to see the Pope at the Vatican. So they don't want them to go. Huh. Well, okay. 13, that's the Christ number. And the elders, who are the elders that don't want them to go? Well, whether they go or not to go find the Pope at the Vatican, they sure like to build it up, folks, because I'm telling you right now, there is no Pope and there is no Vatican. The Vatican's been shut down. All the windows are darkened. There's nobody in there. They're all gone. That building's empty. So is the so is the palace. They're done. They're not even there. There's nobody there. Both buildings are empty. So how can how they wanted to bring up the story, whether they agree to disagree, If the chief said, "Oh, I'm going to go, we're going to go," well, keep on looking for the Pope, but you're going to have to dig him up. You're going to have to dig him up. Because when you do dig him up, he's not in Italy. He's in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Okay, that's where he's buried. And it's possible he may have been poof. Okay. The Pope has been gone for a long time, guys, and yet you will see a CGI or you'll see someone who dressed up like him as an actor, but it's not the real Pope. It's not. Trust me. I know who the real people are. I don't get told back in 2020 or early 2020 saying, oh, they were already taken out in 2019. All of a sudden they changed their mind and say, well, we can always make people believe that he's still around. We'll use some CGI. He's looking out the window. But somebody took their camera one day and they tried to record him on a CGI looking out of a window. But when they did the camera, all they could see was his upper part of his body, but there's nothing down below, because the camera cannot pick up a complete full body if it's CGI. It doesn't work that way. So they knew then it was transparent. They just use a film. That's how they do it. So also regarding Picton, in 1998, he was sued for violating zoning ordinances, neglecting the agricultural, altered, and very large form building for the purpose of holding dances, concerts, and other recreations like, kidnapping people underground. They said there's a lot of concrete trucks that showed up there constantly. They look at about 60 to 70 concrete trucks that were coming in. Now, who can afford 60 to 70 concrete trucks? Well, somebody paid for it to build these tunnels. Okay, that's a lot of coverage. So again, so that basically the Picton farm still exists in Port Coquitlam, is connected. He was convicted of 6 charges, 6 deaths. He confessed 49. If you guys are in the region of the area, you can go online, go to Wikipedia, type in Robert Picton, and you'll get his address at the bottom. Go down there and have a look. Right? It would be interesting if you did a paranormal investigation there and bring out some audio recording and see if you can make contact with those that are passed away in that region where the farm is. I understood now they have actually built some buildings in the area where his farm was. And there are people, what I understand, that some people are telling me that they're getting hauntings, presence of a woman or a girl showing up in their house, a ghostly girl showing up at their house, and they can't figure out what's going on. So, yeah, I would say give it a shot. If anybody who's a paranormal investigator, or send a team down there, I would do it. I've been talking about it a long time to all my friends, my teams that I used to work with. I said, let's go down there and investigate. We were going to go down there at one time, and it's apparently another paranormal team went down there. They were escorted off the street or off the area. Escorted. Suddenly the RCMP showed up. Okay, not one car, 2 cars. RCMP showed up and told that paranormal team, to leave. Why? The ground is empty. And the investigation's over. But they were told to leave. Okay, what's going on? If there's there buried bodies there, or they don't want us to examine the investigation through using paranormal equipment. You have electronic voice phenomena. You can pick up a person's voice coming through, or maybe they want to make contact. Don't forget, an etheric person that actually died traumatically, you're going to pick up that stuff. It should be done. Now it would turn itself in one heck of a great video and put it on TV, you know? Charlene says, we did some land clearing and healing work first. The young lady who was missing from Cloverdale was found. This is interesting as I have connected, let's say, connected with, oh, okay. Works in specific area, woman power, house regarding the child trafficking was happens, a number of kids taken, quiet laws here in Canada. Yeah. Sure that this is no doubt extremely haunted. It would be. The land would be extremely haunted. I really feel, well, we actually, my team that I was with a couple of years back, we investigated the prison, the pen, you know, in New Westminster. And we went to the gravesite, and we made communication with those that are passed away and that died in prison, the ones that are executed. And there was a couple of men that were actually innocent. They did, even after their death, they said they were innocent. And most of them that actually were not, that for most of them that were innocent were First Nations. Back to the picking stuff. Piggy Farm, as it is known, it was a cover-up to folks in high profiles. Yes, it was. Of course, the government coming to the parties. Exactly. It was a cover-up. I'm telling you guys, I know Harper was there. I know, a lot of these government officials that were there, and this is going to be big. There's going to be a lot of exposure. Okay, I'm telling you, this is all going to happen, and it relates to all what's going on right now. It all relates to what's going on right now, because everything is considered a distraction. They're trying to distract you from actually investigating the truth. What they spent so much time, and yes, the Native women are sadly so badly broken. I know, and cares. And here's the thing, folks, and it's going to take a lot of our First Nations women and families to make a demand, to make it happen. But again, see, if you bring it forward to Trudeau, he won't let it happen because he was there. You guys, people out there don't realize, how do you know that Mr. T there in Ontario, okay, could have did something wrong to one of those girls here in BC? I mean, I'm talking about seriousness of it. Took her life because there was witnesses in there that said they saw him take out a couple of girls. And he got away with it right now. But look at the T that I know is already in Gitmo. But still, that needs to be shared. That needs to be shared in public. They were drugged, accidental death, yeah. And they were calling them accidental deaths, but they were drugged purposely. Like I said, like the girls told me, the girls that were there, they told me, they said he had a table full of coke. I mean, I'm talking about powder everywhere. You powdered up, you have no energy, no memory of anything. You are higher than a kite, and he just grabs you and do what he wants, and that's it. You're done. You become that missing person. So you're a case. No. And the thing is, I've got people right now, they're still asking to this day, do you know where my sister is or my auntie is? Now I want to look for her. Can you investigate? I heard about you and that sort of thing. And I love to do the investigation, but it all leads to him. Now, there are people that were taken from one location to the other, picked up all the time. And he was always well known. Picton was always well known for driving his white van, scooping a girl off the street, trying to grab her and throw her in the van. Then there's always somebody in there using some sort of a rag. Out they go, right? And they're gone. There's no scrapping. And most time they always say his brother was with him. He says, oh, I saw his brother David was in the van too. So you tell me what really is going on. Anyways, let's go further now. A Like I said before, the DUMS is leaking radiated water in the BC region after the flood in the area of the Coquihalla. Now, the reason why they had to, what I understood, reason why this thing got flooded out and crushed, like basically gone, done. What most people don't know, there was actually submarines in that area. There were submarines in underground waters. Like these submarines came from China, wherever they came from, but they were underground submarines in these tunnels, submarines, and so that's why the tunnels had to get blown up. They had to go boom boom because there were some that were still there. This is bigger than all of us, folks. This is not just something that you guys thinking, oh, how do you know? How come the mainstream media doesn't know anything about this? They do, but they're told not to say anything because guess who owns CBC? Think about it. Who owns CBC? Who owns all the TV and stations and Global? Mr. T owns Global. He owns all the TV stations, so he's not going to let you get away with it. Trying to tell what's going on. Not at all. Okay. Now, for those of you that are in Australia, as well in Africa, South Africa, I just got the message now sent to me earlier saying that the name, okay, Omicron, it's a code word, Project Odin. And Omicron, it relates to South Africa. Why did it skip back? I'll fix that in the chat room here, guys. There you go. Yeah, thank you, Victoria. Yeah, that's exactly. It's just sickening. That's why these people get away with, and no wonder. But they're not going to get with anymore because they're all going to be picked up by the end of this year. They've already, or most of them actually already have. They already know it's just it's their end. It's getting very close. We have a lot of politicians that are going to be like going bye-bye. Absolutely going bye-bye. Omicron means project, or basically it represents Project Odin, it's a code word for taking out the last huge DUMS in Africa. That's what it means. Okay. So, and it's in South Africa, and the entire tip of the South African region. So, which Odin means the rods of God. So, to name some of the cities where the underground tunnels are that are being taken out is Namibia, sorry, Botswana, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Madagascar. They sent down over 800 National Guards to do a martial law and to get everybody out of the way. That's why the president in South Africa was saying there is no virus there. Everything's fine because everybody is safe and it's all being taken care of. Valiant Thor says pretty soon people with 5 shots will be blaming people with 4 shots for having to get the 6th shot. America was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots. Valiant, I like your I like your words. Yeah, at times they're being run by idiots, but there are some good ones out there taking care of it. Now they're starting to take care of things. But again, now people are asking the questions, why is Trump or everybody else agreeing to have these, jabs still? Well, number one, the deep state are still trying to, what Trump is trying to do is try and get people to wake up and say, look, enough, fight back and say, no, I'm not taking it. But what a lot of people are still doing is they're taking the jab, and it's the reason why they're getting sick. This is really a chemical warfare. This is actually always was a chemical warfare. This was our World War III. So there's the only ways that he's trying to protect us, Yeah, where is Harper? Gee, you don't find him. You can't find him, can you? Nobody knows where he is. And he has not come out to say any words. In fact, people have been asking, where is Harper? Gee, maybe because he was already picked up. Hint. There have been a lot of politicians now have been scooped up. You won't hear them on TV. Those are involved are gone because everybody. Let's put it this way: um, Hillary's emails have already been reviewed by the special elite forces. Okay, have already been reviewed, and they've already got their names, and they're coming to get them. And if they haven't yet, they will be very, very quickly. So I strongly feel is they've already come to get them, and it's just a matter of timing. We have to finish all of the closing of the tunnels. Once those are done, flooded, finished, like even somebody from New York would say, capiche, that's it. Right? Then we get our lives back. But again, we have to be patient and wait. That's the hard part. I would love to have my life back again. And I mean, I'm busy as well, but I like to be busier. I've always loved to be busier. And I'm unable to sell a lot of my indigenous wares because normally I'm always out at Christmas time and I'm actually at a lot of events. Big shout out to all you guys out there that are trying so hard to, be crafters and sell your wares. But there's very few non-jabbed gatherings allowed. Most of them are most of them are actually, if you want to do a Christmas craft fair or any sort of kind of craft fair, you have to be double jabbed and passported and whatever else. No, I ain't gonna do that. I'm not stupid. I'm not playing the game, and that's just the way it is. In fact, by law, no one no one at any event they hold should ever tell me that I have to produce anything, because what you guys are doing, all you people are organizing all these events and telling people they have to have a passport. You're following the regime of the Fourth Reich of Germany. You're following the same way that Hitler had done it. You're doing the same thing. You're following Hitler's way. And those you people out there that are indigenous, you guys should know better yourself, because you always kept on saying, oh, I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. Guess what? You got yourself vaxxed. Why? Well, I felt I had to because I'm tired of feeling guilty. Guilty of what? Guilty of living? Or what? I don't get it. Catherine says, I don't believe the MSM they're being used as a decoy when the cleanups are going on. They're not always decoy. They already know what's going on. They already know, because let's put it this way. They're offered an opportunity to be investors in the jabs, in the companies. If you become a shareholder, then you're going to be picked up. So anybody who pushes it, promotes it, you're going to be gone, because that's one thing that's not going to be tolerated. So all the people that push the jabs on people, especially when they're saying, because not one WHO, not one CDC, not one health authority ever did say that it was a cure. Not one. They didn't say CURE. Never did. They said it's mandatory now. No, it's not. You cannot follow through that. It's not a mandatory. It's offer. If you want to, it's your choice. It's your life in your hands. But you're putting your life in their hands. And when you sign that and you sign your life away, they're not responsible for what happens to you. I've seen so many videos now to this day, lots of videos. People are making videos of people being jabbed in the arm and dying in the chair, right there. And now they're putting screens up, blind screens, to make sure you don't see that person dying in the chair. Yeah, these guys know. The people that work for the people that work for the doctors or working for the health authorities are told to put blind screens up. So if anything happens to them, then immediately the ambulance comes in. But the ambulance is told not to use the their sound like ooh, 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 coming in. They're supposed to quietly come in, pick up the person, put the person on top, pretend as if they actually had a red hat, and just scoop them out the door. And there's a lady friend of mine who actually recorded this. She said, while she was there observing, but she was pretending that she was one of the people, she saw 6 people in 2 hours being brought out on a gurney. 6 people in 2 hours being brought out on a gurney after they got their job. And all 6 were dead. All 6 died. And this was at the Vancouver Convention Center. Vancouver Convention Center. And you really want to get the job. Oh, you think you have to have it. It is not a CURE. It has never been. So Picton has to be taken care of. Everybody has to do the investigation on him because this is bigger than it is. There have been a lot of girls that still gone missing, has never been resolved. That needs to be picked up, and then the government needs to fix it. Because I got to talk to a couple of girls who's actually lost their sister, who went missing, and the case never been solved yet. These are Indigenous women. The case has never been solved, and the government has refused to even go any further with the case. Okay, if they do not use sirens, it is an indiction person is already gone. That's right. That's right. Now you know the story. Because if it's an emergency, woo, 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 right? But if they show up and come and grab the person, you're right. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people. Long time, Derek, I used to go to parties at Piggy's. We should catch up sometime. Oh, Petra. Hey, long time no see. You used to go to the parties. Oh, then I can have a chat with you about that. Yeah, there's talk. A lot more girls have been found, and some of them have been turned into food. And the research station or the labs have found that there's human mixed with pig in the food that's been served to the people in restaurants, and they're still finding food or some of the meats still in some of the old freezers that people have had for years, and they're still finding them in some certain areas of the BC region. That's a long time. They're still finding old meats, and now they have put those to the labs. It's crazy. Yeah, he actually made everything was a food source. Anyways, I want to share with you guys before I forget. I make these, as you see, I make my bolo ties, but I actually have these. These are my own that I make, and these are for sale. And Christmas is coming. If anybody's interested in wanting to get a bolo tie of their own, each one is done differently. As you guys see here, okay, like that. And let's see, we got the blue one, the white one, and the white one actually it's really cool in the bottom. The blue one. Now, and I have this one here. It's got a bit of a purple eyes and the black tie and the silver points. And then I have a smaller version of this one here I'm working on right now, but the tail will have beadwork and like this as well. These are the aliens that I use with the brass tips. These I sell for $250, $250, and these take about 2 days to do. 2-3 days, 2-3 days to do. But once I'm done, again, if you guys are interested, people like to have something that's really cool, and and I love my bolo tie because I went online. There's nobody I know that actually makes these. I do my own beadwork. This is all fine beadwork, seed beads, tiny ones. And then I've already just finished doing this one here. I'm just doing the tail now. Okay. And this is my other one I did. As the Métis symbol plus First Nation sound. And I'm working on doing the tail on the end of that as well. Yeah. And I got a few more I'm working on. So if anybody's interested, I charge $250 for the plus shipping, and you guys want a bowl of Thai of your own, but it's something you can have for a lifetime. Great Christmas gift for someone that you love, or for yourself, right? Okay. Now, one thing I just found out that they had made a statement recently, and I will get into doing some readings tonight too. There was a statement made by the government, and they actually all had stated today, all government officials are exempt from the jab in Canada. Exempted. I seen the video where our prime minister did not get the jab. In fact, the needle head, the plastic thing was not even in his arm. It was actually, they went like this on his arm, and then it moved up and he walked away with it. So he never got the jab. Neither did his wife. Anybody who's in government is exempted. They're saying they're all exempt to have the jab. So if by some chance that Bonnie Henry decides to say that you have to get the jab, she just basically stated, even herself, she never got one either. She never got the jab. The real Bonnie Henry never got the jab. The real Bonnie Henry. Okay, so the fake one is, yeah, wearing a mask, voice modulator, as usual. Guess her face is all this Bonnie here I see is like she's way out here, cheeky. And the one I remember we watched at the very beginning, she was so slim faced. You can tell a big difference. You don't get slim face one week and then you're cheeky the next week. Okay. I want to give a big shout out to all the crisis actors, by the way. Yes, the Vancouver Police Department are exempt from the jab. The RCMP are now, well, actually, the RCMP are not exempt from the jab. Apparently, two of my friends are RCMP got the double jabs. They got one. I already got two, and they are regretting what they had done. But they said they got pressure from their bosses. Their bosses are telling them, if you don't get the jab, then you don't have a job. RCMP. You see? RCMP. So, yeah, they're just being told that now. I want to give a big shout out to all the crisis actors. You know I'm saying that because the crisis actors are, I'm showing out all the crisis actors because they pretend that they fell down, go boom, and they pretend that they've got hurt or that they've died. I want to give a big shout out to you guys that you're supposed to be COVID patients in the hospital. Like we saw you die on the bed, and then the next day we see you on the street protesting. You're wonderful. Just love to see you guys do your job again. What can I say? Big shout out to the crisis actors. We have those people in the hospitals continuously pretend to be somebody else, and they'll say, "My name is Bob, and I'm really sick, and you need to get the job." If I said I didn't want the job, and look what happened to me. And the next day, the guy's outside, we're protesting. So yeah, big shout out to the COVID actors. Crisis actors. You guys are brilliant. We caught you. Okay. Fed mandate. The U.S. is blocked. Yes. Let's see here. California is still a mess. It is. Not for long. Not for long. Okay, let's see. New South Wales exposed. Doctor exposed arranging his message in the hospital. What if it was done here in British Columbia? Yeah. New South Wales exposed. Doctor exposed arranging his message. Here's what happened, folks. We've got people out there. How do you say this part? Anytime you see a doctor on TV or any media, and if he or she is pushing the jab on you, telling you that you should, they themselves they're they've never had the jab themselves, but they will actually try to tell you to get the jab. And why? Because they're investors in the company. Okay. That's why Mr. Trudeau is an investor. He invested in a lot of the stuff, a lot of the product, the fizzer, and up until the year 2025. So he owns millions of it. So that's why he's pushing this on people. I read online a lawyer when he won a case for a client not to be jabbed by telling the judge the jab was still experimental and only volunteers are used in experimental stages of the vaccine and not the whole population. She won her case. Good for her. Good for her. Oh. And I saw this guy. He's South Asian. Wore a orange turban. Did you see him? He went into the hospital and he was lading. Oh, I'm saying laying in. Like he was just yelling and screaming at all the nurses and the doctors and the people in there. He says, "How dare you? You should be ashamed. You know this is not real. No. Just giving everyone heck." And security, they showed up and they come up to him. And the guy's like 6'6", 6'8". There's no way you're going to mess with him. And they're all shorter than he is. And he's looking down at them and they're going like, "Sir, you have to leave." And he goes, "Piss off." And you're backing up. Okay. And he's yelling and screaming at the nurses in the hospital, just giving them heck about, about the jab and about all what's going on. And he's just he's just telling them, he's just making them feel guilty. And everybody's like, they're all hiding away from him. He's just yelling and screaming. In one way, it was funny, but another way, it was freaking cool. We got somebody who's awoken, and the guy's in that hospital just laying into him. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Let's see here, Catherine. So I read on the keep on flipping. Shaylin, do you think or get a feeling will we do anything to stop or help in the ludicrous story of the COVID? Our strength and truth is to honor me, refuse to be. Okay. One day I will meet God or higher self. I must be proud of me. That DF. Like I said, I tell people, no matter who you are, we are in the middle of a third world war. Actually, it's almost done. And there are special elite forces taking care of all this. And we're in the middle of it. We are the victims. We're in the middle of it. We are our own soldier within ourselves, because you have guys on the outside force that they're doing the protection with weapons. And our weapon here is our voice. Okay. If you look at my new poster and you see there's a small banner, circular banner on the back of that computer, you read it. Okay. You'll understand why. Because people like me, I've been awakened. I've been awoke for a lot of years. And I know what's been going on. I like doing my research, my own personal research of certain. There's always a lot of people talking about other things, which is normal. But I wanted to find things that have a reason why. Like you want to. Okay, if they're saying what Picton had done in the past, then what makes him so important? And I thought there's more to this story than just why they bulldozer his house. And when they bulldozed his house, I thought there's something more to this. And then other people started to expose the story, what's going on. And they start talking about the thousands that are underground that they found, or thousands that were taken away out on the Evergreen boat, on the ship, and the containers. Okay, these are kids women and children being taken away to other countries. Right? So, and this is by Hillary and her group. This is bigger than you and I, folks. And even though we want to expose them, I have to say, years ago, before Trump was actually president, you want to expose them, they take you out. Because anytime anybody tried to expose them, you're gone. Even though you tried to, put the word out. So you had to wait until the right time. I had to wait till the right time. There was even a doctor that was still trying to expose what they did with Moderna. There was even a woman that tried to expose, who once worked for Moderna, exposed for what Moderna was all about, how bad it was, and they took her out. Right? They silenced her. Why? Because she was exposing them. They found her dead on her bed. She was murdered. Her son found her. So it doesn't make any sense. Okay. To connect the dots, you always need to ask the next question. It gets deeper, gets deep really quickly. I know it does. I really appreciate your help, Bonnie. I really do. Let's see. I understand the Earth is an experiment in free will, so intergalactical. However, bringing it back to the macro or right here, maintain peaceful. I want to share something with you guys. You guys may not know this. Okay. This world is not the way you think it is. It's better. It's a galaxy in a galaxy. What I witnessed when I was on the ship, when they took me on the ship, and the things that I seen, I was totally like, whoa, in awe of it all. When they said one day that our true sky, the blue sky, will open, and it's not going to be, it'll open not too long from now, within this year, not this year, but next year, things begin to open up where you'll see the true sky, the true where the stars are, what they're for, why they're there. The ships that fly across the skies, the stars, why we see this, how we see things in a 3D image, 4D, 5D. How come some are awakened and others are not as awakened? It depends on us. It depends on how you want to hear what really is going on or what hasn't gone on. Yes, we're sort of like what you call the experimental beings, but we are the true aliens ourselves. We are the true aliens of this planet. We were brought here for a reason. We're brought here millions of years ago. But we we had to be here because the planet Mars was not the greatest planet what was left of it, because it was, again, there was a war that took place back then, a lot of depleting of humanity and population, that they decided to move us over here. This is a young planet. We're not just a young race. We're just beginning. We're every few generations, our DNA begins to expand even greater, and we get bigger and better all the time, right? We get to become more and more intelligent. We've only got 5% of our brain active, not 50% or 95% working. It's only 5%. We would not be at home sitting down watching TV if we had 95% of our brain working. We wouldn't be. We'd be out there being as active as we possibly can, but we are allowing ourselves to be in that 5%. So the only way that we can really awaken ourselves is having to get outside and start looking around and see what is reality and what is just, what do you think? Is it CGI, or is it just your imagination? Because there's always something you'll see in the sky one night. You'll say, oh, how come the moon went from here to the side of the stars in a matter of less than 2 hours? And yet it shouldn't move that fast, because I remember most time, every night, that moon is there all night until the next morning. But all of a sudden that moon's here to over here, because the moon moved. Why? Because it was supposed to move. Something happened. Because the moon is not the moon. It's not a planet. It's a ship of its own. It's actually, but we look to that as a night sky light bulb, so to speak. If we didn't have that night sky light bulb, that's what it's for. It's to give us some light to walk the earth. But there are people living up there, ones that cannot live on this planet. ones that suffered when they were born, ones that were hybridly changed to become strangely different than we are. So now they're all taken up there to that planet to have their own population. Yes. And it had to take a vaxxed person to wake up. Really, it did. I've had some people say to me, "Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy." And all of a sudden, after what happened, they start noticing a lot of things happening around them, and they start seeing the trauma, and they go like, "Why?" Then when you participate in it, you go like, "I should have listened." And there are people out there that are still decide to go for the third, and now they're ready for the fourth. You know, jab in the arm, or how many you want. If you keep on depending on the government telling you how many to put in your arm, then you are the experiment, and you're willing to be the experiment. Is somebody paying you for it? No. You know how you're paying for it is your life. Yeah, I like Bonnie's theory. We are all learning to be navigators of our own journey. That's true. We are our own captain on our own ship, right? You could be who you want to be. I do all kinds of things. I try to do as much as I possibly can to share my information for you guys, for you to know, because everybody needs to know what's going on in this world. Because if you don't, it gets crazy. You know, everybody's like, Derek. I mean, I get people sending messages. Are you on this week? Are you on tonight? Are you on tomorrow night? As much as I possibly can, as soon as I can. I'm always in, because people are calling me up and say, Derek, I need to talk to you about something first before you go on. Mick says the moon is an old defunct Andromedan spaceship housing the failing computers that create the controlling matrix here on Earth. That's close. You're close. Yep. Yeah, wait till the people find out of the different beings that have been living inside of our Earth. Oh boy. I got photographs, folk. I can tell you that there are over 65 different types. 65 different types of races, not people like my face. I'm talking about extraterrestrial races, 65 kinds, from different heights, shapes, and sizes, and tones of skin, you name it. Different varieties. They're just like you and I. So, someone told me that I reminded them of Forrest Gump in the middle of every story. Yeah. Life is like a box of chocolates. Yeah, I know that one. But again, taking a quote from the man that got taken away, who actually was a paid assassin to kill his own actor friends. And you'll find out about that too. I can send some of the pics. Yeah, yeah. I got them on my. Oh, I've got over different varieties of them. Yeah. But anyways, I'll take calls, guys. If you want to get a call and you want to call in for a reading, you're more than welcome to. Or if you have any more questions you want to ask about, 360-566-2875. That's 360-566-2875. Anything you want to ask about, you're more than welcome to ask. Let's see here. I'll put that on the other page too. That way. There we go. Hey, let's see. Super Soldier Talk is a great show with a lot of alien race information. Yeah. There is talk about people that are being vaxxed are also being used to be super soldiers. So in one way, you are the test and see how much your body can handle to become a super soldier. So the word is out there. You know, like there are some advantages and disadvantages, but I'm trying to explain to the people that it's not as much the idea of the jab; it's what's in it that's going to do damage, and that is the nanobites, because that's the graphene oxide. That's the cause. Okay. And also other things that are in it that's going to do more damage than you guys think. Like my wife and myself, there's no way I would take it. And my wife cannot take it because it'll just do more damage to her. There's no way. Anybody that ever was a cancer patient, you wouldn't survive. Area code 408.
Hey there, Derek. It's Mick in Sacramento, California, USA.
Hey, Mick, how's it going?
It's going well, thanks. I am calling you for the first time from my brand new cell phone.
Brand new cell phone.
Yeah. I got it a week ago yesterday. I finally had to break down and, ditch the old Samsung 7, which I'd had for nearly 5 years coming up in January. So I decided to get the Samsung 20 FE 5G. Even though 5G is bad, it's like, hey, they're getting ready to disable 4G. So I didn't want to be left in the dust. So here I am.
Well, they'll be taking the 5G, whatever was the bad part of the 5G, they're taking that out, but they're going to make the 5G organic. So it won't affect anybody's brain.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and suck it up and get one of these new phones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to sync up my really cool earbuds to it. So that's why I'm using speakerphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It takes to sync them up, you have to hold the button down, your Wi-Fi system down to do the syncing until it goes beep, and then you'll catch on.
Oh, believe me, I went through all kinds of hoops trying to get that thing to sync up, and I thought,
just
okay,
take them to the guys, the guys that we got your phone from, and they'll show you how to do it.
Exactly, that's what I'm going to do. Actually, it's a really lovely gal. My lovely gal Cheyenne. That's, I want to go back and see her anyway, so this will be a good excuse,
Yeah.
So last night, I had a long, extensive, detailed dream about a friend who had passed away recently, and his wife, and the three of us were just hanging out like old times, and it was so detailed and vivid. And so I contacted her today and told her about that, and she appreciated the fact that, that her and her late husband were in my dream. She calls me Mr. Lucky because, of my lottery wins and all this other lucky stuff I've had happen. And so, I told Julia about that. So her husband's name is Mick Brigden, Brigden, and he passed away in an unfortunate accident recently. And he was also a member of the Bill Graham Presents family. He was part of the management team that signed Eddie Money to his contract and got him to stardom. And so he was the third in that Bill Graham management team to have passed away this year, along with Arnie Postelnick, who I had asked about, and then, of course, Eddie Money himself. And so, and Kevin Burns, who I'd asked about a couple of weeks ago, when the last time I talked to you. So I want to find out how Mr. Mick Brigden is faring on the other side, and if he has any messages for myself or his lovely wife, Julia.
Okay, before we go further, is Eddie Money still alive? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, Eddie passed away a few years ago.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he didn't? Okay, no. Eddie supposedly had
a
few years ago.
Yeah, he was supposedly passed away, but he actually had to go into hiding. So he'll come forward around next year. Yeah. There's well over 900 different people that are going to come forward, and it'd be so shocking to everybody to say, here I am.
That's right. I remember you recounting a detailed list of those that are supposedly deceased that will be returning to shock us all and to delight us all. You know, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that myself. But in particular, Mick Brigden, who was part of Eddie's management team at Bill Graham Management, who had just passed away. I want to know how Mr. Mick Brigden is doing on the other side, and if he has anything he would like to relate to his surviving wife, Julia, or myself.
Okay. Bonnie, I'm not sure Bonnie sent a message. She says, I tried this and sadly it is true. The Android phone, hold down the home button and sing me a song in a jab song, and then tell Mick to try it.
Wait a minute. Is that what Nick said from the other side?
Yeah.
It sounds like something he would say.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow. Anything that I can relay to his wife, Julia, who's really having a hard time with this, by the way, as to be expected.
Well, number one, when I'm in his energy, I'm seeing him. What do you call this place? It's a big, huge valley, and you walk out there and you can look into it. But I'm seeing him there. What do you call that place? I've never been there yet. It's a big, huge rock formation. I think someone had mentioned the other day or a couple years ago. They said they just finished making a transparent glass walkout, Grand Canyon. I'm seeing him actually where the Grand Canyon is, because I'm seeing him levitating above the Grand Canyon.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. So
well, he was definitely a traveling person, because before coming to Bill Graham Management, he's a Brit. He's from England,
yeah,
and he toured with a lot of the major British artists. And he was part of the Rolling Stones tour with Bill Graham, produced in 1981.
Yeah.
And so he was a very worldly guy. Little, short, balding, humorous Mick Brigden. And I used to, when I'd see him in the office, I'd say, hey, Mickey B, and then he'd say, hey, Mickey J,
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, last night for him and Julia to be in my dream, and it seemed very serene and calm and peaceful.
Well,
and
let her, if you saw him in your dream, tell her that he came to you to send her a message. That's what it is. Yeah, he came to you to give her a message. So how you seen the dream, you share that with her.
Well, I did, and I wanted to share it privately with her, via Messenger.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Spirit and Source would not let the message go through, as if they were saying, no, go ahead and post it as a comment.
Yeah.
So not only does she see it, but everyone that knew him and her and you sees it. And that's the vibe I got.
But make sure that make sure that she knows that he said he's at the Grand Canyon. So if you said he's from England, that means that possibly that could have been his first place he went to before he become Americanized.
Okay. Well, I will be seeing Julia along with a lot of my Bill Graham Presents family people, because we're holding a celebration of life for Kevin Burns on February 19th out in at the Kensington Pub. And we're going to perform music, and we're going to, and it's funny, I got asked this afternoon, ironically enough, to sing Eddie Money's 2 Tickets to Paradise, which I related to you 2 weeks ago, is what I sang at karaoke the night that Kevin passed away, unbeknownst to the people that asked me that. And they asked me if I wanted to do another song. And I said, yeah, I did Baby Hold On to Me, and I actually Facebooked it live. So I would like to reprise that performance for the Bill Graham Presents family and all of our, BGP family members. So this is going to be a great gathering, because,
and then I'm also being told here, I hear it in my head, I love a rainy night.
Oh, really? The Eddie Rabbit song, I Love a Rainy Night?
Yeah, I love a rainy night. It must have a meaning between him and his wife.
Okay, I will mention that also.
And it probably relates I think what he's talking about, it relates to his connection to England. I love a rainy night.
Oh, right. Okay, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me personally, I mean, I'm still dealing with a bit of guilt because, I chose to work. I mean, you got to work when the work is there. And so I worked 2 shows at Shoreline on the 2 days that celebrations of life were being held for Arnie Postilnick as well as for Mick Brigden. And so I want to try to make up by being there for Kevin Burns as well as for them also. And hell or high water, February 19th, Kensington Pub, I will be there. Definitely.
No mask.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to go out and rock and roll. For some reason, I had the urge to sing the Police, Spirits in the Material World. And and I think that might have happened because of one of the comments left by somebody in the chat room. And so, of course, I pulled it up on YouTube and thought, you know what? I need to sing that song tonight. And so thank you, whoever that was that posted that. I'm going to bring it to fruition tonight and lend my voice and my spirit in this material world.
One more. I got one more song sent to me just now. I'm told to say this. This is from your friend to his wife. And the song is called Baby Hold On to Me.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, okay. That's it.
Yeah.
She'll be so happy. She'll be so stoked.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for this, Derek. And as always, thank you for what you do with the program, giving us the truth, not living in fear, and helping us not to live in fear, but to fight the injustices by, being the believers that we are, that we do create our world and our existences, and not to be deterred from that. So until the next time, my friend, love, cheers, and many, many hugs.
Take care, my friend.
All right, you too.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, that one there. Let's see here. Catherine says, darn, got caught up as the ET has a page now. So it doesn't seem to be too many intelligent people around right now. Wendy's saying this, they're funny. The one aim of these financiers is world controlled by creation, extinguishable debt. Henry Ford, Henry Ford was actually an interesting person because Henry Ford was actually very known as an environmentalist. This guy was really good, and it took some really bad people, evil people, that did some major damage to trying to do damage to Henry Ford's life. Between the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and quite a few of them. So they tried to use this power trip. And J.P. Morgan was one of the worst, absolutely one of the worst, because he was actually one of the people that did financially back Tesla at the time when Tesla was trying to bring out the free energy. And then later on, as we speak today, now there's no more Morgans around, but the fact is that Tesla's work now is being brought forth, and there has been, I think somebody said there's well over 60 plus satellites out there now that were sent up recently. So we're going into Tesla, and we're going to Tesla satellites in the next little while. Some of them have already taken over the, let me move this over for a moment. They've already taken over the, some of the websites, and now we have forcible CEOs that were forced to step down. Let's put it this way. When you hear the word step down, means that they're behind bars. That's my understanding. And I'll mention the names. Okay. One moment, and hang on a second. And so this is the stepping down of CEOs. That's Disney, Microsoft, Amazon, Hulu, IBM, LinkedIn, Uber Eats, Salesforce, Hinged, Cupid, Bath and Body Works, Tinder, JUUL, Jewel, WeWork, OK Cupid, Velocity, Harley Davidson, which I'm actually totally surprised, Nissan, Victoria's Secret, T-Mobile, eBay, MasterCard, Nestle's, MGM, Volkswagen, Twitter, Walmart, Costco, CNBC, and banks, and even more to come. So it's getting to be like, holy crap, right? You guys caught on, didn't you? Now you know. I told you. Nobody believed me. They all said, "Is Elon Musk a? Is he alive?" And I said, "No, he's a clone." Nobody believed me. I said, "No, well, he's acting like he's not." I said, then they showed a video of him, and he was acting weird, and then a body part was starting to break apart. So we already know that. Anyways, there was a caller that called in 306 number, and then they quit. So I'm not sure. 306, they call in, they hung up. They'll call back. Oh, it's Erico 306, not Erico 360. Erico 306. I don't know who that was. Okay, so now you guys know. And if anybody else wants to phone in before we shut her down, let me know. If you guys have any questions to ask, ask me here. But if anything to do with psychic stuff, please phone in and prefer you to. Now, if you want to get a hold of me, I have a website called whiteskycloud.com. It's whiteskycloud.com. And yeah, if you want to get a reading, full-time reading with me, it's I charge $130 an hour or $65 for half an hour. If you want to make an appointment, you're more welcome to. Yeah, anything more on top of that? Every week and Thursday nights, the reason why I'm doing this, why my show is not the same as used to be called, why is it called Shadow Chasing Show, is because the company itself that we use, which is YouTube, decided to shut me down because it was exposing too much that they don't like the anagrams. So I had to do some changes. And in the meantime, they told me I could not use my name. So I decided to change something up and make a switch. But anyways, that's why I changed the show. And because they would not allow me to come back until February. And by that time, I already know that they're going to be. So, what else is there to say, to share with you guys is, okay. Area code 306.
Yeah, Derek.
Keith.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. Talking about Major Williams. He's the bastard son of Prince Philip.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, him and Bernardo knew each other, and they are in the same prison in Quebec.
Okay.
And on visiting day, Mrs. Williams, right?
Yep.
And the Bernardos are there to visit their loved ones. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And there's a little bit more. I think I sent you the thing, but I'll send it to you again. I can't post on Facebook right now. But anyway, there's, Williams on 9/11.
Yeah.
Because he was a major in the Air Force.
Yeah.
On 9/11, he was flying around the Pentagon when that missile went into the Pentagon. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can find this on McAllister's TV. There's a guy that's in prison right now that has information on McKay and a whole bunch of other politicians. Okay? And he's in jail as a political prisoner.
Oh.
I'll send you two articles on McAllister's TV about the guy who is in prison and he's talking on her show from prison. I'll send you those two things, but I'll have to send it through the messenger for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Williams would go to BC, and he'd drive around in his nice uniform and pick up young girls and bring them to the farm. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, of course, we all know how the RCMP covered up for the Trudeaus, both Trudeaus.
Yep.
Okay. Every major politician in Canada, maybe for a few, are all compromised.
Yep.
So you can see why we are in such shit right now.
Yes.
But that is coming to an end.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's all I have to say.
Appreciate it. No, like I tell people, like if you look at the list, if you look at Hillary's list on her email, those people's names that are already mentioned in her email, they've already been picked up. They've already been taken out of the way, so to speak, because the person that has those emails, the original emails, was passed to Trump from President Putin. When he had the soccer ball, that soccer ball had a code on the outside of it. It looked like a symbol of a code, and that represent the emails. And what Putin said, Mr. President, I'm passing the ball into your court.
Okay. And there was another guy a long time ago, quite a while ago, he was talking about the Highway of Tears.
Yes.
And he was telling them how there's grave sites of Native people that were buried in rows, like on top of each other. And he said nobody's going there to look at them and whatever. But that was, I think I sent that to you a long time ago. But
yeah, I knew about that. I knew about that since 1996.
Yeah, well, apparently there's it has to do with the Chinese military. They were moving Native people, let's say, and putting them in the ground and burying them.
Yes.
And the RCMP were covering up for them.
Exactly. Now you guys understand. I kept telling you guys that the Chinese military have been in Canada for a long time, especially in BC, because there is or was a Chinese military center here just outside of Surrey, where I live here.
Yeah.
And that was
all that
was
stuff
built
there was another battle against the Chinese in BC.
Yeah.
They took a whole pile more of them out.
Yeah, they were taken out. Like basically there was an invasion when Trump was actually president at the time, and there was about 100, they figured about 120 to 150,000 Chinese military soldiers that came out from underground from our BC region area, and they were going to attack the White House. And Trump got word of it, that this is what they were doing, and so they were prepared. When they were about to make their attack, they blew up the tunnel with them in it. So
and BC floods was another fight.
It was the same thing. Yeah. So it's been going on for a long time.
And apparently there's nuclear waste coming out in BC.
Yeah.
Saskatoon is another spot where we have just recently had high nuclear gas waste around here.
Yeah.
And it's all on a map.
You also got nuclear. You also got nuclear waste in Fort McMurray. You also got nuclear waste in Ontario, and also the New Brunswick region, where the federal government was trying to arrest all the First Nations people, because the federal government was actually dumping radiated garbage in their water reservoir. So that's why not one First Nations person ever had a chance to even have clean water on any reservation, because they were dumping radiated water or radiated garbage on the land. So that's why, and that's why our federal government was not helping them to get the water, because their way of to slowly depopulate the First Nations on the reservations is to keep on drinking the sickness in the water. Why do you think there are so many cancers?
Well, anyway, I just thought I'd let you with all that little bit of note.
Appreciate
anyway,
it.
There's a lot more to the Williams story.
Yeah.
There was people, when Williams was beating and killing these women, there were viewers that they all would go down and watch him beat them and kill them, beat them, and then they would leave. There's witnesses that say they see a lot of cars leaving the house
Yeah.
And the RCMP never did anything about that.
Nope, because they're told to stand down. If not,
or anything. So you can see how corrupt we have.
Whatever officer that was paid off, they're the ones that are corrupted. But we apparently would understood. There was one officer that told me a lot of stuff, but he himself actually was the one that was forced to step down from his position because things that he's seen inside, and he knew he was in trouble. And when he met me, when I told him that I'm actually one of the mediums that investigated the Picton farm, he got scared of me because he knew I knew too much. And so he disappeared very quickly. I'm not kidding you. He knows me well enough that he could not, because I could easily expose this man, which I am going to expose him, but I'm sure he's already picked up already. But he used a fake name to what he called himself, and I thought that's not who I see. But there was a website that he set up, which is a big mistake. But it was actually a porn site where he was dressed up wearing Mountie boots and a pair of shorts with a strap, those those long stick strap. We call those things now. I do with horses, and then he had his own hat, his RCMP hat, and he was going to slap the girls some that way, and that's how he was getting attention. But he was wearing his own uniform in that direction. Anyways, he got himself in trouble because some people that knew of his real true name turned him in, but he was also at the Picton farm. He was also one of the people that brought the girls to the Picton farm. So he's going to be picked up and gone.
You, that Ottawa
crop. Thank you.
Stephen McKay.
Yeah.
McKay. He was in. He's a known pedophile. There's a whole list of those people in Ottawa of these government people.
Anytime, folks, you start seeing things that are on TV, and if you keep on focusing on the Black Lives Matter, or if you focus on the Antifa, those are called distractions. They want you to focus on them so they can do things from behind your back. Be careful. Don't focus on the things that they want you to see. Focus on things that are behind you, because that's the real true stuff.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, Daryl, and we'll
thank you, Keith.
Later.
Okay, take it easy. No, Keith is right. Keith is a person who likes to do his research as well. I keep up, he keeps up with me, and I keep up with him. And this man, he lives in Saskatchewan, so he does his research, and then he shares what's going on because he already knows as well. So between both him and I, we go back and forth. And there's other people there I'm also connected with. We share what's going on between provinces. There's so many people that I love to stay in contact with other provinces and to find out, how we are doing. Yeah, Bonnie says separate the signal from the noise. Exactly. You're exactly right. Separate the signal from the noise, because basically when they're saying to focus on specific, like for example, on TV, they want you to focus on, say, the flood, but they're not telling you what's in the flood. Okay. They want you to focus on the travel and saying, well, no one can travel on the highway except the truckers, especially for the winter season. That means they're telling people they cannot drive the highway to go visit their families. They have not spoken about Merritt, the town of Merritt, what's happened to it since then. They've had the snowfall since then. There are a lot of people are homeless. About 80 to 90% people don't have a house to go to. So everybody's like, this is really bad, right? Again, folks, you gotta remember now, we're in the middle of a war, and it's in this country. not just Canada, not just BC, all over Canada. We are in an international war. We're in a germ warfare. It is actually, and it's between Justin Trudeau and China. They're working together. They're colluded together. They work together. And Trudeau is against everyone else in the party, everyone else across Canada. He's making money out of your fear. And he enjoys it. He takes great pleasure doing it. He learned it from Fidel Castro. That's his true birth father. He's learned it from him. If Castro can control people of his own country, Trudeau's doing the same thing, like father, like son. That's how it works. Daddy, I'll do this for you. Here, I'll follow you. Yeah, jump. Let's do this, right? And then you could see it. You can absolutely see it. So there's a lot of things that are happening out there right now. And like I said before, God's already won this war, but they want you to see. The thing is that people like you that watch this program and those who pass this show on to others, please open your eyes and pay attention. Look around you. The TV is not your answer. Never was, never will be. Mainstream media. I work with the mainstream media. Okay, I work at a radio station, but it is a volunteered radio station. Okay, I have my other show, but it relates to only Indigenous, Métis. This one here is my freedom of speech. And there are people out there, and when you work with a community radio station, you can say whatever you want, right? Because you're not following a corporate following. You're not following like the corporate radio station, TV stations. They pay you to tell you what to say to the people, the listeners, and the viewers. When I do radio and I do television, I don't listen to them. I want to know the truth. I've been doing this for a lot of years since the 80s. Well, 1980. Let's go back, folks, to my music. I've been a DJ since 1982, 81. 1981, been a DJ. Working the nightclub, doing music. That's where it started. Then I got really curious and I got more and more involvement. I worked at the radio station, CFUN 1410, doing my show back in 2003, which is Between Two Worlds. Great, right? And I share messages for people all over. And I was on about an hour just before Art Bell would come on with Coast to Coast AM. I was on an hour before Art. It was wonderful. And I got to know Art's work. Lady friend of mine, God bless her heart, she's now passed away, but she knew Art's wife, and they were best friends. And so her name was Ariel Louise, and Ariel was wonderful. And Ariel was insisting that I learn to get more involved in internet radio and internet TV. So I was involved in it at the very beginning, 2020, 2002, 2003, right at the very beginning, where it was just beginning to open up those doors, So I was working at BBS Radio, and so Bonnie goes, the only thing I liked about MSM is NBC gave us Let's Go Brandon, a classic case of cover-up gone wrong. Yeah. And the funny thing, folks, I'm from Brandon, Manitoba. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. But I've been around radio and in stations for a lot of years, and I enjoy doing it. I like creating a lot of music and entertainment for the people. I'm not afraid behind the mic. I enjoy the mic. I enjoy talking to people. That's my job. I enjoy entertaining you. I love to be on stage and entertain you, even sing if I can. I've been doing it for years. But still, when it came to this time when this whole big sea began, and I thought, what's going on? So I started talking to Spirit, and Spirit showed me. They said, Derek, open your eyes. Don't get caught up in this, because this is not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be the voice for the people. So, I'm one of the voices. I'm not the only one. There's many people out there that are voicing. Others are able to go out and protest, and then others are at home. If my wife didn't have her cancer, I would have been out there protesting. I would mind out there being just as wild as everybody else. But like everybody is saying right now these days, this last 2 years, protests on the streets are beginning to become, it's almost like it's getting to be boring. People are beginning to, sure, people are awoken. There are some people are awoken, others still don't want to awaken, others don't want to hear it. But you can only do so much being on the street to protest. You can only do so much to share information to the public. But basically, your being out there in the social media is also very important, as much as you possibly can, for those people to see what you talk about, see what you share. And that's why we have Telegram. And I tell people this: if you want to find me, really get real information, find me on Telegram, but do not use the Google. Don't use Google Play, because Google Play actually will censor you. They actually will trace you and knock out your subscribers. You need to go to the website where Telegram is, like telegram.com, and you download on their site. You don't go to Google Play, because Google actually, they will knock out your friends, your connections, your subscribers, because Google works for the corporation. Okay. So Catherine says, the first time I met you, Derek, you had me in tears in the first 2 minutes. And if you asked me who was Charlie. Oh, good. I'm glad I got to meet you. So this is basically, I love meeting people. I love giving people messages. That's my job. And I listen to the higher spirit, because they're the ones that tell me what I need to say. For anyone like you out there, I enjoy doing my work. I do God's work like everybody else. You guys out there, the wonderful listeners, you're all doing God's work as well, because you're also sharing. But if you're not a friend on Facebook, if you're not connected with me on Facebook, or if you're not connected with me anywhere, really, just find me on Telegram, become a friend. I'll get you connected. You get to see things, and I'll pass you on information, real true stuff. And once you get loaded, I mean, this can be so much great stuff coming out there. And sure, there's always going to be a scare tactic. They're going to try and tell you, oh, be careful about this and be careful. This is what people do. They're always trying to get you scared. And it doesn't bother me no more. I'm not even, the cops don't scare me. People say, well, if you don't do this, they're going to come and get you. I'll call them for you. When I had me in the liquor store, I went to the liquor store to I want to go buy myself a couple of beers, a couple of cans of beer, like my Irish beer. So I want to get a couple of cans of beer just for myself. I have about one a week, and just love the taste of it. I buy myself a couple of cans of beer, and they wouldn't let me in if I wear a mask. And I refuse to wear a mask. So I'm actually have my exempted card on. I showed her the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and that. And the manager just had a conniption, yelling and screaming at me. And I said, you can't refuse service from me. I have the right to come in to get what I want. I've already have in my hands. I want to buy it. No, you can't. Why? You can't tell me what to buy. I'm going to call the police and have you arrested. Go ahead. I'll phone for you. By the way, I'm in the media, so go ahead. So she was yelling and screaming, and the cops did show up, and the cops were on my side. The cop said, you can't refuse the service, and it's not private property. Why would you tell people it's private property and they have the right to kick you out, but it's not private property? If you're saying the property is open to the public, it's not considered private. Do you guys get it? But they're going to try and tell you it's private if they don't want you in there. It's still considered public property, because nobody in that building is the owner. People who are servers or servants to the owner. The owner did not say that you can't enter the building. The owner cannot afford to lose your business, but the people that work there are abiding by a guideline, not a rule, but a guideline of what the health authority tells you. But the health authority has no authority. The health authorities are trying to use the national war. They're using what's called a Canadian War Act to call it a health authority. We're not in the middle of a Canada War Act. But they're saying, well, it's like the Ebola. No, it's not. Once you put it in my arm, that's called the Ebola, because you're killing me. But as long as it's not in my arm, it's not the Ebola. And also, the mask has nothing to do with it. Nothing. That's basically following the guidelines of your Freemasonry. That's basically they want you 6 feet apart because it's Freemasonry, but also the 6 feet apart because the camera knows who you are to identify you. If you already got the jab, they know who you are because that camera will pick up your nanobite sensors because now it's going to pick it up and they'll know exactly who you are and where you've been. So now they're in control of you. Yeah. Okay. Catherine says, okay, Charlie was my fur baby and that I growing up as a kid. Yeah. Cool. You lived in White Rock, 2006. Yeah, time's gone by. Oh my God. Yeah, there's. This is how things happen. I love making, like I said, I love giving messages to many people and help people out. So, folks, please understand one thing: learn to stand up for yourself. And if you really, really believe that you need all those shots, I can't help you. I really can't, because that third shot is going to basically define your life, what's left of your life. But if you've already made the first shot, there's a cure. If you did force thinking you had to take the second shot, there's still a cure. The third can't help you. So, but again, I can't confirm that. Amazon Web Services were down yesterday. People were sure surprised when their smart home would not let them in. Yeah, it's true. A lot of these services are going to go crash. They're going to go down because what's happening, they're going down and it's being taken over. Like basically the server, which is actually the Tesla, is taking over. So now they're in control. Amazon is gone. The owner of Amazon is gone. He's bye-bye. Yeah. Anytime you hear the word, of them being gone, they're gone, as in, see ya, ain't coming back. Susanna says, what did I miss? Oh, you miss some really good stuff. But you can always refer back to the recording and have a listen, have a watch and listen. And let's see. Catherine, you brought up my grandmother's name, and I said, Dorothy, and you said, no, she doesn't like to be called that. She like to be called Dot. Oh, okay. So now she's going back into what I remember telling her. I don't remember. See, I'm sorry, but I really appreciate your confirming those things with me. But I don't remember things years later because it's not my responsibility to hang on to these people. Netflix was down yesterday too. Yeah, anything that any company, corporation ever goes down, that means it's transferring over to ownership to the Tesla now. So that means that the government, Trump's people, control it now. Yeah, they're in control. So anytime of any tower goes down, and you may lose, and I will say this, I've said this before. Bonnie Henry had stated, and I didn't finish off the story for some reason. This is the reason why I have to say this. Bonnie Henry had stated that we're going to go do another lockdown as of this coming week. That means she also said too that if no one's vaccinated, then they cannot buy food. This is her words. Okay, now they did that to the people in New Brunswick, and 85% of the people said, screw you, and they walked in shopping. That happened in California, it happened in the States, and they said, screw you, and they walked in. A lot of people walked in, they were unvaxxed, grabbed a shopping cart, filled them full of groceries, right to the top, went to the cashier. The cashier was told not to take their money. So they walked out with the groceries to their cars, and they couldn't do anything about it because they refused them their money. That means by law, that food is free. Did you know that? That's called emergency food. That means the food is free. If you refuse to pay or refuse to their money, that means they can walk out with the food. It's not called theft. They walked out because you refused their money. Okay. I dare someone to tell me I can't buy milk or food, look out. Go for it, Catherine. Tell them straight up to their face. If they say you can't buy food, then you walk in, you make sure you have some friends with you. You walk in and you grab a shopping cart and fill it full. Fill it full, whatever you need. Meats, you name it. Just fill it full. Walk to the cash register to the um, person. And if she refuses, he or she refuses you, you walk straight through with your groceries, or you reload them back up. If you already had them on the counter and she says, no, you're not going to pay for them, load them back in the shopping cart and walk out with them. That's not theft. By law, it's called emergency food, and they cannot touch you. And even the police will know that. They won't touch you. And there was well over 50 people that they walked out with the shopping carts full of food and loaded up their cars and drove home. Nobody said a word. No police officer showed up. Security couldn't do anything about it. They said you can't. Once you leave the building, you can't go after them. Yep. So the fact is, yeah, and you're not being selfish or greedy. You are. It's called, emergency service. That's life. That's important. You need food. So, but they're going to try their darndest to make you feel that you're not valuable, and unvaccinated people are called purebloods. So I was informed that Dr. Bonnie is going to announce this week, the health authority for British Columbia. She's going to actually tell everybody that they have to stay in their house and they cannot leave their house. And if they do leave their house, they have to have a good excuse, say if you need to get some food, whatever have you, or prescriptions. But if you do leave your house, and if there's a police officer pulling you over, and if they said to you, they're going to give you a ticket, you don't touch the ticket. You don't identify yourself. You don't tell them whether you are vaxxed or not. You don't tell them. It's not their business. It's illegal. And they can't tell you what to do. But if it's the military that's there and asked you, just saying, go get some emergency food. I need some food, right? Police officers have no authority. Under the Charter, right? Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms, even your own American laws, under the Charter, they cannot touch you. They cannot fine you because those fines are illegal. Okay? They're just wasted paper. And if they are handing you unchartered forms, that's illegal. That's a federal offense. You're handing out an illegal ticket. That means that they themselves, when they sign it, they're going to jail. So anytime anybody's involved under the health authority, Trump's not kidding around. He's not playing games. You represent someone thinking that you're going to try to boss them around, because a lot of these health authorities don't even have a vax passport. They don't. They're exempt. So you make darn sure you ask them yourself, are you exempt? I'm sorry, are you carrying a passport? And if they refuse to tell you, then they can't fine you. You can tell the cops, same thing. Are you exempt? Or do you have a passport? Show me your passport. Show me your ID, who you are. We got Pat King, who the cops are coming to his door. They came to his house yesterday, went to his door, and they wanted to see him, and they're going to lay shit on him. Like basically, they were wanting to find out where Pat was, and this and this and this, and Pat says, none of your business. But they thought they could try and scare him. So Pat says, you know what? Time for me to be back on the road again. They're going to try and I got a funny feeling they're trying to find a way to arrest Pat and take him to jail and not releasing him at all until this whole thing's over, or forced the jab on him because he's getting too close to truth. He's scaring the crap out of the police. He's scaring the crap out of the government, and they can't do nothing about it. They've already got his two boys. His ex-wife went and got both his boys jabbed, and he's mad because the boys did not want to get the jab. The boys are scared because now they're afraid they're going to die. And their father is livid. He's pissed. He's absolutely freaking livid. Because she wasn't supposed to do that, but she forced it. No, you're going to get it. That's my decision. No, it's not. It has to be the parent's decision, not one parent. So, I reported today a FEMA bus full of doctors and nurses taking over a hospital to replace the docs and nurses fired. FEMA has no requirement. It's true. Yeah. See, yeah, and FEMA actually is a corporation. So whether they have doctors and nurses, that mean these doctors and nurses are probably fully vaccinated, so they couldn't care less. They're coming in, they're like, well, I want my job, so we'll get rid of you guys. And I tell people this. Here's my advice to anybody who actually is in the medical industry, any kind of industry at all. If your bosses are putting any pressure on you, please understand, you have your rights, your Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms, and the Nuremberg Code 2.0. Nuremberg Code 2.0. I recommend go to the website called Action for Canada, action, number 4, Canada.com. Go in there, and there are some PDF files about what you need to do regarding protecting your children, protecting yourself, and as far as your bosses, like even protect yourself from your bosses, your company, whichever any kind of threat they put on you. You fill out those forms. Those are legal forms, cease and desist forms. You fill them out with their names on them, and you slap those things right in front of them. Cease and desist. Because once you put those forms down in front of them, they cannot fire you, they cannot do harm to you, and if they threaten you, now under the charter, they can be arrested, because once the military show up, because now those are registered online, once they're filled out, the military knows who those people are. The special forces are going to come and get them, and they're going to arrest them, and they're not coming home. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys. This is serious shit. I don't swear often, but this is serious. So, and also, if anybody does get their threatening and being told that if they don't take the jab and if they lose their job, just say that your boss is first. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Well, you have to do this. Well, you're not doctors. Why are you telling me what to do? You're not even a doctor, right? They don't have the right to your medical history. Whether you are, maybe you may have a medical history, but they don't have no right to know it. It's illegal, right? So here's what you do. If they start putting pressure on you, and if you're afraid to lose your job, and if they decide to say, well, you're fired, they say, no, I'm not fired. I'm taking stress leave. And you've taken a long stress leave with pay. So you fill out the forms, trick stress leave. Okay, I'm taking stress leave. I'm so stressed out. I don't know. You guys are putting pressure on me. I can't handle this. You fill out the forms. They sign it, and they let you go. In the meantime, you're at home. You're relaxing. You're getting paid, but you're on stress leave, because after this whole thing's over, by the next year, you got your job next year. Meantime, those people that put the pressure on you, they're not working anymore. They'll be picked up. They're gone. Because by the time you may have some new employees working for you, or you may not even have a job to go to, because maybe your bosses are going to be picked up and taken out too. I'm serious. I'm not kidding you. This whole thing is going to be a mishmash in itself, because when the military comes out, and there's going to be martial law in Canada, martial law. Martial law means military controlled, not provincial police, not federal police. They can't participate. Okay, they cannot participate. They all have to back off. So the only people who are in control are the military, and the military are there to protect you with their special forces. So if there's anything they need you to do, you get out of the way. If they tell you to stay in your house, stay in your house. Okay? Because they're telling you, because they want you off the street so they can still grab the rest of the pedophiles. Pick up the people that are breaking the law. They want to clean up and clean out so get our freaking country back and have a better life. And it's going to take people like you to say, enough is enough. It's over. I'm not taking your crap no more. I don't care how small you are or how tall you are. If you think that you're not strong enough, grow one. Grow a backbone. We've all been spoiled like children all our lives. And one thing I learned from my mom and my dad, or especially my mom, Take no crap from no one. If you get pushed in the corner, you're like a badger. You get pushed in the corner, you bite to get out. And you fight back. And I do. But I got a kind heart and I love helping people. But you push me in the corner where I'm not going to get mad. I'm in your face. And my wife is just as strong as I am. And she's got Croatian in her blood and she's got Cree in her blood. You don't mess with two of those same brands. You don't, because she'll take you down. I'm not kidding you. That's why I love her so much, because she's my girl. And I stand behind her 36 years strong. But she's always loved people. Her and I never had children together. We never did this. I've never told anybody this. We've never had kids together. She had her own children before me, and I had my children before her. We've always wanted to have our own child before when we met each other, but couldn't because her little basket was removed by forcible illness. But she didn't have the forcible illness. Her and I probably would have had kids. We did talk about it. We're trying to, some means we try to have it, but it wasn't this time. Not this time. Because we figured it out when I talked to Spirit, and they said, if I had a child or children, then my life would never be the same. I would never be doing this kind of work. I wouldn't be able to help people out because basically I'd be focusing on kids. So I had to do something different in this lifetime. My last life, I remember being in the Second World War, being a military soldier, British fighting the Germans. So I'm repeating the same story. This time I don't have a gun. I'm not infantry. So my gun is my mouth. I'm not spitting on nobody. My gun is my mouth. I'm doing accurate shots. So what can I say? I still fight back. My dad was in the military. My Uncle Dave was in the military. But my father wanted me to be in the military. I said, not again, not the second time, Pop. First time I did that when I was last life. Nope, not this time. I died young. I was in my early 20s, 23. I knew who I was. I knew my name, first and last name. I'd seen all that. And no, this time I said to my dad, no, I didn't feel it. I'm not getting that feeling. So that's how it works. So Jesus has plans for all of us. God has plans for all of us. We have a plan. You have a plan. And our plan is to stay together as family instead of separate from each other. You know? Well, that can be arranged, Catherine, if you want to find out. I do, go on site, and I do past life regressions with people. You can always find out. If you're living somewhere near close by, I can show you how to do it. So, anyways, folks, I love you and leave you, and not for long. But if you want, again, you want to keep staying in contact with me, join me on Telegram. Again, don't use the Google Play site, PlayStation, or what do you call it, Google Play. Download it on the website itself, Telegram, because people right now are all having to change their pages because now Google Play is actually attacking or basically removing certain subscribers off their page because they're bringing out the truth. So they're stalking people from the Google Play, which they shouldn't have, but they are still part of Google. And Google's also going down, by the way. And again, if you want to find me, find Telegram. Here's how you do it. Don't use Google to find me on Telegram. Use DuckDuckGo. That's the search engine. Go to DuckDuckGo and then type in telegram.com and download the app there if you haven't done it. And if you already have an app and through Google Play the first time, you can always change it up. Google can make another one up. Say, Derek, I'm changing this one. Go to that one. Okay. So if you ever have any problems, let me know. So we'll stay in touch. What else is there? That's pretty well it. So guys, let's talk to you guys next week and be good to each other and stay focused. But like I said before, make sure you have enough food for at least a good week to 2 weeks for yourself. Expect a little bit of delays. And if you do have your cable or your internet and all that shut down for a week or a few days or so, don't panic. Let it happen. Find a way to keep yourself busy. Okay, talk to you guys later. And Bonnie just said if you have a Chromebook or a PC, you can use web.telegram.org. Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate it. Guys, be good to each other.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. So why is the war? Why do we fight? It's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time? Wanna stop dying? Isn't it time? Mother, stop crying. The fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I live together. When one hurts, when one needs, all we gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, in peace. Alright, make peace together.